This is George Dionne for KNAC.com, and I'm here with Steve Dorsum, Carlos Urquidy, and Eric Mulvane of the band Images of Eden. If I knew absolutely nothing about Images of Eden, how would you describe the band's music to me?
We're a good metal delivery, but we have inspiration in our music. We have hope in our music. We have a direction in our music. There's a solution for the problem that we present, but we roll it all up in metal music, and it's really unique. It's very organic. It's not anything like we purposely do this to make it to be that way. It's just something really organic that comes for us that we want to give back in our music, but we do it through metal music. And so, like I said, it's very different. It's very unique. I love what we're doing. The testimonials we get after we play, people need to hear some of the things that we talk about, and they're very gracious for it. And so that just kind of fuels our fire to keep going and keep doing what we're doing.
Now, Images of Eden got their start in 1998. Gordon had put the band together.
Yes.
Steve, you joined in 2016 and 2017. How were you recruited to the band?
Well, back around that time, I had a personal band called Born of Fire that we were rolling with, and we were getting ready to record a record. And make a long story short, the vocalist that we had kind of took the money and ran, so to speak, and left us all hanging high and dry. And we had an album to put out, and so we worked so hard on it that we really wanted to put it out, but we were missing a vocalist. So we kind of searched the internet basically for Gordon, and we found him. We lived clear across the country from each other, and he heard the music and was very interested in helping us out, and he did. And we recorded that record and did a music video. But then he also took me aside and presented his Images of Eden project that he's been working over the years, and mainly studio albums and a plethora of musicians that kind of revolve in and out and helping him do these records and how he was building it. But so he pointed the idea out to me. I was a little reluctant because I was so tied up in my band, but then I really, really investigated it. I felt it. I knew what he was going for. It really felt good. I mean, I literally was driving down the freeway and I pulled over in tears and called him and I said, I'm in. I'm in. Not only am I in, I'm putting my project to the wayside, and we're going full board with this, and we're going to rebrand it. We're gonna get the right musicians, the right character guys that this band requires to do to how we put this out, and we did that. And these guys sitting right beside me here are the building blocks of this whole thing that we're doing. So that's how we met, and then we just kind of took off from there. And like I said, rebranding everything and bringing everybody on board and start writing new music. And our ultimate goal was getting in a record label and start touring and doing all that. But we were on the couch with nothing, so we literally went from a couch to sold out theater shows in 5 years, so it's very impressive. But let me tell you, it took a lot of work.
Lots of work. Eric, you came on about the same time as Steve, or were you one of the original members?
No, it was shortly after Steve.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as my understanding is, Gordon had a bass player at the time, but it was not wholly functionable at the time for whatever reason. So, as he latched on to Steve and they started building this project with these different building blocks, obviously one of the missing pieces was bass and another guitar and all those things you need for band to function. So, and Steve pitched to Gordon, I know a guy, and so and Steve and I have known each other since
high school.
Yeah, since Steve was 16, 17, and I was 18, 19. So and we'd been in a band before, way back when we were kids, and so our chemistry was already there even without playing with one another. I mean, I lived in Michigan, he's out in Arizona. We haven't played together as a bass and a drummer in
30 years.
A very long time.
Yeah.
But that chemistry was always there. And so the idea was that chemistry is probably still there. And so he pitched it to Gordon. I know a guy, and if this doesn't pan out with this other bass player who Gordon had used before and was part of the Images of Eden prior, and it didn't work out. So he the album was coming due. It needed to be recorded for Soul Rise, and so he relented, I guess, to Steve's request, and yeah, Steve called me, says, dude, you're in the band. And then shortly after that, I'm driving through town in Traverse City, Michigan. I had to pull off into a parking lot of a Kmart. This guy calling me from Maryland. I'm like, calling me from Maryland. So sure. And there it was. It was Gordon calling me on my phone. So I'd pull into a Kmart parking lot, and we sat there and chatted for a good hour and a half about the band and philosophies and the bands and you know, and the direction that he wanted things to go. And yeah, I was the same way, just like Steve, you know. So it was after that, then I started hearing some of the early material before the recording. I was sold, immediately sold. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. And so, yeah, it all came, for me, it came about because of Steve and our friendship from so many years before. So here we are today. So, yeah.
Similar story for you, Carlos?
Well, I knew Gordon 15 years ago through MySpace, and we were supposed to have a different project back then. We never did it, and but we kept, you know, being friends throughout the years. And about 2017, 2018, he calls me and gives me a message and, hey, would you like to play some leads on this project that I have? And I said, okay, well, let's do it. And do you want to record another track? Yes, of course. So I recorded another track, and all of a sudden, well, would you like to join the band? And I was like, well, let me think for a minute. Of course, I want in, yeah, yeah. And so I recorded the whole Soul Rise album, and then life, you know, got in the way. I have to step off the band, and now I'm back. And I'm really grateful to be here. And
we are too.
Yeah, we are too.
we are very much grateful for him being here. And you know, another thing, it was just Carlos is from Mexico, you know, out of the country, and it was the immigration thing of coming over here correctly and doing all this and getting the right immigration visas and whatnot. It was a, lack of a better word, it was just a really big chore back then when we were starting for Carlos, and he runs a guitar shop back home, and
we were able to get him in the country early on originally, after the Soul Rise recording for the Shield Me video. And, you know, and these are all one-time things. You got to come over immigration wise, and then you got to leave.
But for any extended touring though, for any extended touring, it was going to be almost impossible for us to jump through all these hoops. So Carlos just had to step out. We were all friends, and we had to just keep moving. And we recorded our last album, Angel Born, without Carlos, unfortunately. But everything kind of found us again. Our other guitar player had to leave, and you know, we just asked Carlos, "Is everything better now? Let's try to tackle this immigration and get you back in." And that's what we did. We went and tackled it. We got it done. And we were able to, you know, pull this tour off still. So now we're all good to go. So there's a lot of hurdles initially to, you know, you couldn't even imagine the hurdles and the arrows we've taken just to make it to this hotel room here today. So,
well, you all sound great on your new EP, Weathered and Torn.
Thank you.
Came out on September 16th through Pavement Entertainment. It sold out of its first pressing in Amazon, so you guys have to be happy with that.
Yeah, that's a great start. I mean, we sure don't want it the other way. You know, we got a lot of copies left now, but that's good. We're really happy that everybody's taken a liking to it. You know, in some of our past albums, yes, we're hard rock and metal, but we're a mature band. You know, we've been through a lot, so we're writing a lot of mature music and maybe a little bit more heartfelt, slower paced stuff sometimes, where we kind of changed our direction for Weathered and Torn on this one.
This was about being mad.
We were angry over the past 2 years. Let's just be frank.
Like most people.
And
people are fed up.
We wanted to give them our true reaction. You know, how we felt about the last couple of years, and we got heavier with it, and it was by design. Let's go heavier on this record. I think people need that release right now. They want to get, you know, banged around a little bit, you know, and help them get that release, but then still give them that soothing lyrical content that we give in all of our music. And we were able to balance that fine line with being really heavy, but still keeping our Images of Eden, you know, tact in place. So we're
message is still intact.
Exactly. So we're pretty happy with this record and how we went heavier with it, because we're getting a lot of feedback that everybody's really happy with the direction we're going in. They really like it. So I'm like, wow, cool. So
Is it a conceptual album or is it more just a collection of similar themes?
Um, yes and no on both. I mean, it is a conceptual album because kind of all of our albums are in a sense. You know,
Every album feeds off the album before.
Every song has its own story, but the collaboration of songs we put in order kind of touches on those stepping stones of items that need to be touched, so to speak. So yes and no. I mean, every song has its own identity, but yet as a collaboration of this EP, it all goes together.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the songs that you've released so far from the EP. You've released Count to Zero. So what's the lyrical theme behind that song?
Well, Count to Zero, in a nutshell, is basically speaking to that person who may be distraught and at the bottom of the rope, you know, and we're telling them time is running out. I mean, get up off the floor, make something of yourself today. The clock is ticking down on all of us. I mean, our whole lives are based on a clock. You know, we have to be on time for work. We got to be on time for dinner. We got to do this. We got this appointment. Well, in life, in general, the clock is ticking down on us. And instead of wasting life on the ground and being on substances or just drowning in depression or whatever it may be, suicidal, we're asking that person, we're trying to motivate that person. We've been there. I feel you. I'm giving you some instruction right now, what you can do to get yourself out of this. So I'm not going to present a problem in our song to you and just leave it hang. Okay. We're presenting a problem, but we're also going to present a solution for this by this time the song ends. So count to zero, time's running out, pick yourself up, make something of yourself today, and then go be somebody's hero.
Yeah, societally, we've become way too complacent, and individually, you know, as a society. So we've become way too complacent, you know, from a government top down all the way down to the average guy going to work every day. So we become way too complacent. And so we've come to this point societally, I think, where it's acceptable for people to just sit back and do nothing and then want to complain about why their life's not going the direction they want it to go. And like Steve said, time's running out. At some point you've got to realize time's running out. You got to get up and do something about it. So you can't get stuck in this quagmire that is life today. You know, so you got to be the one to make that change. No one's going to make it for you.
And so that story brought a lot of good visuals to mind, and we made a music video for Count to Zero as well. That's also released right now. That I also directed. But you know, we came up with a great storyline for that. I think by watching the video, it pretty much tells the whole picture of what I just explained to you on Count to Zero, what it means. Have you got a chance to see it yet at all?
I have not seen the video.
Oh, okay. I encourage you to check it out. It's a good one. It's one of my best ones so far. So
awesome. I did see the video for Animation in a Still World, which was from your last album, Angel Born. That was kind of a bold statement to make in 2021, I'd say.
That was
a little off the cuff too.
It was a little off the cuff. I mean, I think we were still kind of finding ourselves in a way where we were trying to display maybe our anger or our concern for society and what's happening. Yeah, it was pretty bold. I mean, but that's not, you know, something that we were, you know, really publicizing really hard. It was just something we wanted to do. We were locked up for the pandemic. We had a great song. We had some great visuals, a great storyline to go with it. And so we tackled it, you know, and some people might not like it and some people will absolutely love it. But, you know, we're not hanging our coat on that one by any mean, you know. The videos, like if you've seen in the past, like My Promise or even Fight the Good Fight, the remake of Triumph that we did, and the stories we tell behind that one, like particularly we're hitting the road and a hard life on the road and what it takes, you know, to make it through all this. So it's a little comical as well in there. But if you see Count to Zero, our music video, that's kind of our MO and how we put visuals with our song and then the lyrical content, that message. We tie all that together and make a really impactful video. So I really encourage you to watch it. I'd love to hear what you think.
I will check it out.
Okay.
The second song you have out is Survivor's Guilt, which is probably the second side of the coin on Count to Zero, where Count to Zero is, you know, about living your life now, and kind of Survivor's Guilt, sort of the same. No?
Sure. You want to take that one?
Well, as Steve mentioned, well, most of the music in IOE is has an uplifting message. And Gordon is the main songwriter, so he writes a lot about the stuff that everybody is struggling with. So for some people will have a special meaning, for people won't have that meaning. But what we're trying to do is, okay, here's the problem, here's a solution, and this is something that everyone else is going through. So no matter what country you are, no matter how old you are, we all have problems, right? It's kind of like my impression of that song.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you guys write collaboratively? You mentioned that Steve does that. Gordon and Steve do most of the writing, yes, lyrically,
Well,
and then
I mean, Gordon, sort of. I mean, we kind of have an assembly line. Again, we're scattered across the whole country, so it's a little different how we tackle this. But Gordon kind of comes up with the shell of the idea, the kind of the structure of the lyrics, and he'll shell in a song for us. So we kind of got a shell to work with. It'll come over to me to kind of put some drums to it and make sure the arrangements are working right. And then we'll send it over to Eric and Carlos and Dean, our key player. They will all make input. Sometimes we'll make some changes in how the song is structured, just so everything, because everybody has ideas. But it just goes down an assembly line. We try to get it structured and shelled in. Well, at least the structure is pretty solid, unless we need to make some changes, and we do. And then it kind of goes down to the next person, the bass, the guitar, and we just kind of got a nice circle rotation going. So we've done this for 3 albums now. I mean, so it was very unorthodox, how we start, but we're working really well. This last time it's worked very smoothly and no issues. I think we got the song structures really good, and everybody did a really good job playing their parts. And yeah, it's just it takes some time to get used to doing it that way. But it goes back to my point of getting the right character guys with everybody on the same page. Everybody has the same heart. When you have that, it makes it a little easier.
Yeah, the days of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, getting a band in one location, hanging out in the studio all day, all week, all month long, and spending all that money.
Unheard of.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't
anymore.
exist anymore.
So this is our reality, using technology to our advantage. So, and we're able to do that. And you got to have some level of self-responsibility in it to pull it off in the first place. This is why it doesn't work in other situations, and in this situation, not just for us, but previous incarnations of the band, for the same reason. I mean, if you can't get everybody to put they're all into it in that time frame that you need to put in, it doesn't work. And then and then you get delays and you get all kinds of problems. So we're fortunate with this group that Gordon, as Steve said, writes the shell of the song. The bulk of it does all the lyrics, and then it just gets farmed out to each one of us to do our own individual parts.
Exactly.
And then we'll put it all together, review it, and make changes from there. Like, I like this, don't like that, let's change this, let's do that kind of thing. So
but if you're not, we done that.
Yeah. But if you're not individually responsible enough to do that, it doesn't work, because we're so far apart. So there's no one in the same room with you, to smack you in the back of the head and go, no, that's not how I want it. I already told you that's not how I want it. So you got to be able to go back and forth, not get your feelings hurt when someone doesn't like something, because that's just the way it is. It's a band, and you got to give and you got to take.
Yeah.
So, and it works out for us.
Is this EP leading to the next studio album?
Yes, it is.
Everything leads to the next album.
And actually, in all honesty, we were going to do a full studio record on this run, but we took a time out with our record label, and we're saying, let's get your guys' reaction. Let's get a heavy cut. Let's just do an EP. Yeah. Let's do a video. Let's get you on the Michael Schenker tour. Let's change the gears just a little bit. Okay. We need to get over to Europe too. And this is kind of our key that we're hoping to kind of unlock that lock, so we can go over there and expand a little more. I think a lot of people enjoy, especially this EP, over on that side. But we're trying to continue our spread. Our goals are endless. We just keep putting goals on ourselves every year, every release. And
COVID put the brakes on everything for everybody, especially for musicians in that way, because a lot of plans were already made, a lot of money already spent, and then it was just not there any longer. And so 2 years of everybody had to essentially start over after COVID. So all the plans you may have had 2 years before, or the process you may have been in the middle of was just gone and out the window.
Yeah.
Whether it's plans for Europe, and we had plans for Europe already, so, and that all went right out the window, every bit of it. So it was like starting over, essentially.
Yeah.
So we're starting over and building again. So off of what we already had.
But we're gonna see what this EP does for us, where it takes us, maybe how it influences our next album too.
Yeah.
We might need to come out with a heavier taste on this next record too, but keep our IOE, voice in line with it all. So yeah, it's coming as soon as we get done with the tour, and then over the holidays, we're gonna start doing some writing and recording, which we already got a leg up. We already got some songs kind of roughed in.
Tonight, the day that we're speaking, you start the Michael Schenker tour, which is a pretty expensive tour through the U.S. Have you guys ever met Michael before?
I have met him twice. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. He lived in Arizona at one time way back late 80s, early 90s. And I met him a couple times back then. Super nice guy when I met him. Super nice guy.
Yeah.
We both had real long blonde hair, so we got along really well, But as far as I know, I mean, he's a great dude. I'm really looking forward to meeting all of his guys, and it should be a good role. I'll meet him tonight. I don't know.
So Carlos, you're going to trade some licks with Michael? Have him show you a
Well,
little?
I really hope so. In my previous covers band, I used to play a lot of UFO music, and he's one of my heroes. So, over the moon about this deal.
Awesome. You guys, you're not on every stop, unfortunately. When you come to my neck of the woods here in Massachusetts, you're playing the Beverly show, but you're not playing the Fall River show. So I'm going to be around.
And I'm not sure what's up with that. If he's just doing a solo appearance, I guess that's what's happening. So yeah, we get a 3-day off period in New Hampshire to rest during that time. So
not bad. The leaves are changing.
Yeah,
by then we'll need it.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any tour plans after the Schenker tour ends?
We don't have any solidified, but our label and their agent is trying to help book some stuff overseas for us this spring. So we're just going to see how the buzz of this record, what it brings for us, radio charting and whatnot. So that all happens this month and next month. So I think we're just it's going to be a precursor to see what happens here and see what kind of opportunities it brings. We're still an upcoming hungry climbing band that are trying to work to be heard, so we don't have a plethora of options, but we're working hard to gain some more.
Does anyone in the band work with other projects on the side when there's downtime from Images of Eden?
No,
Not
not
really.
really. No. Well, Dean, he plays in
he has his cover band.
Dean, our keyboard player, he kind of plays in a cover band back in where is he from again?
Right.
In Baltimore. Anyway,
I don't have time for it.
but he has a cover band he has fun with. They go do that. But we frankly just don't have time for it. It's band and then our personal lives, and that's pretty much all we got.
Yeah, it seems like every time you turn around, it's time to start the next thing. And when that thing's done, it's time to do the next video. Then it's time to do the next tour. It's like I don't have time to play with other people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Understandable. Those are all the questions I have for you today, guys. The new EP is Weathered and Torn through Pavement Entertainment. It's out now. Sounds great. You're starting the Schenker tour tonight. I wish you guys the best of luck, and thanks for talking to KNAC.com today.
Thank you very much for having us, sir. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate it.